Hey everybody, I'm Tom.
And I'm Auburn.
And we're on another episode of
Versus.
So today we have a hidden character, or otherwise known as social deduction games. And we have three of them. We have One Night Ultimate Werewolf, we have Coup, and
Don't Mess with Cthulhu.
Don't Mess with Them. You want to know how to play them? Well, here we go. So here's a real quick way of playing One Night Ultimate Werewolf. What's going to happen is you're going to have a bunch of these different types of cards. I have some of them sleeved. I actually have One Night Alien as well as a couple other packs, so they're kind of mixed in. But I put the One Night Werewolf stuff right here. So I got minions and masons and the drunk and the troublemaker and the robber and the villager and the hunter and the werewolves and the seer and a variety of different types of people. Now, they're going to have different powers in the middle of the night, and some of them, they're not going to have any powers at all, and I'm talking about you, villager. And what's going to happen is everybody's going to get a card. They're going to place it in front of them. Let's say, for instance, I was the robber. I'm going to place that in front of me face down. Everybody else has theirs face down, and then you're going to listen in the middle of the night. Well, that means everybody's got their eyes closed. And you're going to be doing stuff. Now, you better use the app. That's what I'm saying. Now, you can, of course, not use the app, but it is really cool with the app, and the app is free from Bezier Games. And you use the app, and it's going to say, okay, werewolves, open your eyes. And then you look around and see if there's any werewolves. Now, there's going to be 3 cards that are face down in the middle because you're going to count up how many players you have, and then you're going to decide what kind of cards you're going to use, right? So that there's always 3 left over. Now, if a werewolf is with another werewolf, he's then going to be looking around to see if he can find his werewolf buddy. If it's only one werewolf because the other werewolves stay down here, then the werewolf has the option of looking at one of the cards in the below and seeing that it's a mason, right? Or maybe he looked here and he saw that, oh, he's a minion, or whatever the case might be. And so the werewolf then is going to close their eyes, and then they're going to go through the different things. The seer gets to go ahead and look at somebody's card. So maybe the seer is going to grab this card and look and notice that, oh, I'm the robber. Okay. And the troublemaker is going to actually be able to take somebody's card and swap them with another player and mix things up. The drunk gets to do something. The hunter, he doesn't do anything in the middle of the night, but what he wants to do is, if they ever accuse him of being a werewolf, he's going to take somebody with him, and if he takes out a werewolf, then he wins. The villagers do nothing. The insomniac actually is the last person to wake up and look at their card to see if they're still the insomniac. So that's pretty much the setup, and you got the various different powers, such as the tanner doesn't do anything in the middle of the night, but the tanner wants to lose, so they're going to act very suspicious. And then, here's the deal. Everybody then wakes up and then starts to say what they are. Now, I've noticed that in this game, sometimes people don't want to say who they are, but it is actually to your advantage to go ahead and say who you are, except, of course, obviously, the werewolf is going to lie about whatever. If the werewolf happened to look at a card and saw, oh, it was a mason, then they're going to maybe lie about being a mason, but that's risky because the other mason is going to be looking around during that time period. Or maybe the werewolf notices that nobody said that they were the seer. So maybe the werewolf is going to lie and say, well, I was the seer, and I looked at this guy's card who has already said, I'm the villager. So he's just trying to basically lie his way out of being discovered that he's the werewolf. That's how it goes. You've played Werewolf before. You know how this game works. And you only have to vote one time. That's why it's called One Night Ultimate Werewolf, unlike the other games of Werewolf where it goes on for quite some time. You're voting one time, and if you don't vote the werewolf out, then you basically lose. In the game Coup, what's going to happen is you're going to have one of these 5 different characters. Now, there are expansions to the game, so you can have more, but this is basically the game. You're going to be the Duke or the Captain, or perhaps you are the Ambassador, the Assassin, or the Contessa. Now, they all have different powers, and they do come with a handy sheet right here. At first, you're going to be, oh, this is so confusing because I got to remember what everything does. But it really, honestly, takes you a couple games, and then you're already there. You figured everything out. And the games do not last very long. So what you're going to have is you're going to have 2 cards. You're going to have them face down, and basically you're going to lie. Now, I was the captain and the duke. So on my turn, I'm going to say, I'm the Duke, so I'm going to take 3 coins from the middle, right? And I was the Duke, but somebody could say, I don't believe you. And if they do, they point at you and say, prove it, or whatever it is that you want to set up as the code word for, yeah, I'm challenging you. And so you just simply flip over, I am the Duke. And if let's say there are these 2 people here, well, then they're going to lose one of their cards. They're going to flip over a card face up. That person is now dead, and they only have this card here. Once you've eliminated all players, then you win. That's pretty much how that game goes. So let's say I was the Duke. I then have to throw this back into the pile of cards that are left over, and I pick a different person. Look at that, I'm the assassin. So I'm going to go down here. When it's my turn again, I can either choose to get 1 coin, or I could say I'm taking charity and take 2 coins. However, if any player is the Duke, they can say I'm the Duke, and I stop that. Or they can just lie and say, I'm the Duke, I stopped that. And then you can try to challenge them if you want to. But I'm the assassin, so I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to pay 3 coins to assassinate this card right here. Now, that person right there could say, you can't because I'm the Contessa. Now, this person's dead, but this one he's saying is also the Contessa. So I can either challenge him and say, prove it, or I could say, you know what, I think he might be the Contessa. But you know what, I'm going to say, no, I prove it. And so they flip over the card. They're not the Contessa, and so they have been eliminated from the game. You got to be careful when you have an assassin after you, and they call you out and you lie about being the Contessa. Not only do you lose a card, they also assassinate your other card, and you're instantly out of the game. Now, the captain gets to steal 2 coins from any player. The ambassador can stop people stealing from them. The captain also can stop people from stealing from him. The ambassador is a great card because what you do is you say, I'm the ambassador. Let's say this person had these 2 cards. I'm the ambassador. I'm going to exchange cards. So you pick 2 extra cards. You look at them all. Obviously, no one else is looking. And then you decide which 2 cards you want to keep. And then you throw these away. Now, the secret to this game is lying. You can't play your cards. You have to play the people. So you just say to people, hey, this is the Duke. I'm taking 3. And hopefully they won't call you out because, as you recall, I don't have the Duke at all. And then later on, I'm going to say, this is the captain. I'm stealing 2 from you. And then I might say, I'm the ambassador. I'm going to trade these in. Now, eventually, once you say that you have all these different cards, somebody's going to call you out. So hopefully you've been able to manipulate them enough so when they try to call you out, you actually have the card that you said you were. And that's basically the game. It is a last man standing style game where if you are the last man standing, or a woman, then you win that round. In the game Don't Mess with Cthulhu, what's going to happen is you are either going to be an investigator with this symbol, or you're going to be a member of the cultist. And as you can see here, you have a variety of different people, and they're going to be face down when you are doing the game. So people don't know who you are. You'd have your face down stuff. Okay, so you're going to also be given a ton of these cards, and these cards are either going to be just, nothing, a rock, or it's going to be the artifact that you want. Here's an artifact, here's the rock, and this guy here is Cthulhu, and you're not supposed to mess with him. So what's going to happen when you get your cards, you're going to gather up all these cards, you're going to shuffle them, and then you're randomly going to put them in some sort of order. Now, let's say this guy is one of the investigators. When it comes time to investigate, people are like, I want to investigate, and he's going to say, oh, no, you don't want to investigate me because one of these cards is Cthulhu. So you definitely don't want to investigate me because if you turn over Cthulhu, you lose the game. Now, some people could say, oh, well, I don't believe you at all, and I'm going to investigate this. And so you have this little flashlight. And when you touch the flashlight to the card, that means you get to investigate. And there's nothing here. Now, why would somebody investigate him when he's told that it's Cthulhu? Well, obviously, that guy that investigated must have been a cultist. So, it's one of those type of deals. So he's insisting, please don't investigate me. Now here's a really what I would do. If I was the cultist, right? Of course, this is face down, so people don't know. If I was the cultist and these were my cards, and I knew that one of them was Cthulhu, and that's what I want revealed, I want Cthulhu revealed, I would say, hey, I got a bunch of these right here. If we can get these artifacts going, well, then we're going to win the game. Because that's what the goal is. The goal is to reveal a certain amount of these types of cards. It depends on how many players, it's how many that you're going to have of these artifacts. If you reveal all the ones that you need to, you're going to win it as an investigator. But if you can't, and the game is over because you've run out of cards, well, then the cultists are going to win. But the cultists will win immediately if you can turn over one of those cards. So again, if I was the cultist, I would say in my stack, I would say, oh, I have 2 artifacts. I have 2 artifacts. You definitely want to investigate me. So somebody says, ooh, let's investigate this one. And they flip it over and they're like, oh, that means one of these 3 is Cthulhu, but I'm not going to tell people that. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, we're totally going to get an artifact. So they're like, okay, the next player is going to say, I'm going to investigate this one. Oh my gosh, these are guaranteed artifacts going on here. Meanwhile, other players are saying, wait a second, how can the math be right here? He's saying he has 2, but I know I have 2, and there's only 4 in the game, and somebody else is saying that they have 1. Somebody's lying, and, well, they're going to investigate this because they believe the guy. And yeah, there's the artifact. I told you, he says. I told you that we had. Now investigate the other one. It's guaranteed. So some poor schmo says, oh, yeah, let's get this. And, game over. That's how it goes. Now, if you don't reveal the Cthulhu or you don't get enough artifacts, what happens is, after you've investigated a certain amount of cards, then they all get reshuffled, given to players. They never change out who they are, but they do change out all their cards. They shuffle them, and then they randomly put them out again, and then you start talking about what's what. So sometimes, yeah, you're going to give away your identity, but most of the time, you're just playing it like, oh, yeah, these are safe. If you know it's not safe, and if you have a bunch of these, and you're one of the cultists, you're just going to say, I have a bunch of rocks. Don't bother investigating me. It's not going to help out.
All right, let's start with Don't Mess with Cthulhu. Tom, your thoughts on this one?
So I heard about this from Z Garcia on the Dice Tower. He was talking about it. It's based on an old game called Time Bomb, and this is with the whole Cthulhu thing, because of course you got to stick Cthulhu theme on it. I didn't like it at first, but then as I kept playing it, I started seeing the nuances of it all. Because, as we said earlier, you're going to either be a cultist or you're going to be an investigator, and you're trying to get all of these different artifacts. And as a cultist, it's kind of fun because you are really trying to trick people, and you can't give yourself away, because as soon as they realize that you're a cultist, no one's ever going to believe you again. There's a lot of luck, though, in it as you shuffle up the stuff. If you get an artifact to lay in front of you and you're not a cultist, yeah, you're going to be like, it's this. But if you get Cthulhu in front of you and they know that you're a cultist, no matter what you say, they're not going to believe you. So if you say, oh, I don't have anything, well, they're probably going to, oh. But then again,
maybe that's a good way to
maybe
play.
That's how you do the reverse engineering and say, oh, I don't have anything. And they're like, oh, they totally have stuff. They totally have. But as you know, and when you play it, you also can tell, hey, I have this artifact, you have an artifact, you don't have anything, you don't have anything. So, and we know there's 3 artifacts. We also know that you're a cultist, so you definitely have it. Who's got Cthulhu? So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to be subtle, right? Because you got to be subtle. But it's pretty fun. It's pretty good.
Yeah. I probably need to play it more because I have had... I was like you at first. I was like, it's not my favorite. But I do probably need to play this game more to uncover those nuances and stuff. I think this game, at least one I have played, this game was easier if you were the cultist.
Okay. So, all right. Yeah, it's kind of like Secret Hitler. It's so much easier, I think, it's when you're the fascist, right? Because you know what's going on.
Maybe we should have that out here and have a 4 versus.
Well, I think
That
Secret
is-
Hitler would win then,
I
because
do
that
too.
is probably one of my
I do
favorite
too.
social
That's-
deductions. But of these three, that is Don't Mess with Cthulhu, a game that I was thinking of actually selling it, but then the more I play it, the more I'm like, okay, I can see how you can start to manipulate. All right, let's move on. Coup, your thoughts?
My thoughts on Coup. This is one of my children's favorite games. It's a quick game. You can play it anytime. It's very simple. It's just lying. It's just straight up lying, and you don't have to play the cards. You can't play the cards. I think that was mentioned in the directions or in the overview. You can't play the cards. You just get seven coins to assassinate or to coup somebody, and just lie. Do whatever you want to do.
We didn't mention that. As you get more and more coins, if you get 7 coins, it's unstoppable. You can coup them, meaning you can get rid of one of their cards. So you're constantly trying to look out for who's got more coins, who's got more coins. The thing about this game here, when I introduce it to people, they always play the cards, so it's real easy. It's real easy to win this game if they're only playing the cards, because when they, do their moves, you're like, oh, wow, that's it. You can't do anything else, so I know how to stop you. If you're the Duke, I'm constantly going to rob you so that you never get those 7 coins. If you are the assassin, well, I'm going to try to stop you from getting 3 coins. If you could figure out what their cards are, yeah, it's game over for that person. It's going to be really hard. That's why, yeah, you've got to lie. You've got to not play your cards. And I've taught this to a lot of my students in high school. We're high school teachers. And once they start getting it down and realize, oh, I can't play these cards, then it gets a lot more difficult, right? And it's quite fun. Except here's the deal about this game. I'm always the one they go after. Even if I have 1 card and I'm only got 1 card's exposed and everybody else has 2 cards, I have no coins and everybody else is at the brink of 6 or 7 or maybe even up to their maximum 10 coins, they're still going to eliminate me if they can, because they're like, you're the biggest threat.
Yeah, well, that's because you're pretty good at these social deduction games.
Yeah, well, I am a manipulator.
Yes,
I am.
but no, this is, I think, fun for all ages. Coup is fun for all ages. We took this on a train ride with a bunch of students up to DC and back, and they played this game for hours on the train. So it's a fun, quick game, easy to learn, and
easy to teach as well,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that because there's so many different things that it can do, but it does have that handy little sheet. So once they've played it a few times, they've got it down, right? We've introduced a couple of the expansions that they have here, the Inquisitor and the Socialist. I still don't even understand how the Socialists work, and I don't think it works very well, in my opinion. But that Inquisitor,
that's fun.
That's actually pretty fun.
That has a new dimension to it. I like
All right, so now here's One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And let me tell you what, if you've ever played Werewolf, you have probably met that frustration of, hey, let's eliminate Auburn. Why?
What?
Who knows? Reasons, right? And it doesn't follow any type of logic. And then guess what? You have now 45 minutes of sitting in the corner wondering when this game's over. That's why I like about One Night Ultimate Werewolf. It could be done in 5 minutes. And then you're back in the game again, playing again. I've never just played this once. It's
Right.
always, it's 40 minutes of game, but there's probably, 10 games in there, maybe 5 to 10 games in there. So what are your thoughts on One Night Ultimate Werewolf?
I enjoy One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Definitely like it better than Werewolf for exactly the reason you said. Because once you're out, you're out. But this game, it goes quickly. I'm constantly tired, and you sit there with your eyes closed for a little while everybody's doing stuff. But no, it's nice because everybody has a role. I like the fact that there's a lot of different types of characters, so that you often, when you play it multiple times, you're not very often the same character back to back. You're often different characters, so your role is different, and so you play the game a little bit differently depending on what your role is.
And there are a ton of expansions that you can mix and match. There's One Night Vampire, there's One Night Alien, which I actually have, and there's just so many different things that you can mix and match and do all these different things. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it works great. But honestly, One Night Ultimate Werewolf plays a ton of people. How much does it go up to? 10 people, right? I think they give you 13 cards to mix and match with it. And you got a group of teenagers, this is going to be a great game. At first, they're a little intimidated every time I do this. And I also find this, that they're unwilling to say that they were the seer. And I have to explain, you're in no danger by saying that you're the seer. The werewolves are not after you. The werewolves know who their friends are and who everybody else is. Our job is to eliminate a werewolf. The werewolf's job is not to eliminate us in the middle of the night. It's not that thing. And I love that. I love the fact that during the night, it's only that very first thing when they're doing all their manipulations of cards and et cetera, and then you don't have to vote. Do we need to vote this person out in the middle of the night? The werewolves don't do that. It's if
Silently,
they survive,
so they don't get caught.
if they survive one night, that's it. That's all you have to do. I like the fact that there is a time limit. You got to use the app, right? It's great. I've played it probably more times with the app without the app, but the app is great because it gives you that time limit, and you got an 8-minute countdown, and it's like you better get ready to vote, and everybody puts their finger up, and then everybody points at the person, and if the majority of people point at whoever, let's say it's Jim, and he's the werewolf, hey, you won. Now, I have played games before where somebody was the robber and they robbed the werewolf. And then they took the werewolf and they realized, oh, now I'm the werewolf. Which is great, right? Because this guy's still thinking he's the werewolf and he's not even the werewolf, right? But here's the problem. When they say, who's the robber? They say, I was. Who'd you rob? Well, I robbed him. Why would you say that? Because he's the werewolf. So he's going to say, did you really rob me? And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, I was the werewolf, so that means you're the werewolf. Everybody, let's vote him out. And then the game's over. And then the robber's like, and I was like, why would you admit that you robbed the werewolf and now you're the werewolf? That's crazy. Instead, you wait and say, okay, everybody's sure that this guy's the seer, so you say, oh yeah, well, I robbed you, so now I have the seer card and you have the robber card, so we're safe. You don't have to get rid of me. Anyway, so that's real fun. So, all in all, of these 3 games, which one would you say I would want to play first? Or if we're going to only have to play one social deduction game out of these 3, which is your go-to? Yeah, that's the one.
For my family, it would probably be Coup. For my family, it'd probably be Coup.
And that's because?
That's because it's quick and short and easy. So, I like One Night Ultimate Werewolf. That would probably be my personal favorite, but I would have a more difficult time getting my family to play that. But they'll play Coup.
So for me, it's going to be One Night Ultimate Werewolf. Because this is going to have so much variety. It plays up to a bunch of different people, whereas Coup does not, nor does Don't Mess with Cthulhu. My family, I think, prefers Don't Mess with Cthulhu probably the most. So I do play Coup a lot at school, and they just come after me. And so I don't like playing it, because the first few games, it's just, I'm going to win. I know it because they're still playing their cards. And then after that, it's just like, let's get rid of Mr. Young first, because revenge.
Yeah,
So,
my kids do the same. They gang up on me when we play Coup. And so it kind of takes some of the fun out of it.
Yeah, so that exactly. It does take the fun out of it for me. So that's why I stopped playing Coup. Oh, it's good. It's good for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes until once they start to realize how to play, because they've watched me, then I back off and go. But I will play One Night Ultimate Werewolf with them all the time, because I love that puzzly nature of trying to figure things out. And it's very logical. If you did this and you did that, and okay. But wait a second, you're trying to get voted out. You are totally the Tanner, right?
All right,
Well, it looks like Don't Mess with the Cthulhu comes in third place, and then we have a tie for first.
Well, I would, for me, if it's just you and me, because this is our versus, I would say One Night Ultimate Werewolf wins, because that's definitely the one.
Well, if it's just me and you, we're probably not going to be able to play.
Well,
this.
that's true.
You know what I mean?
It's not enough people, but yeah, it's definitely better. Like I said, my family likes this, but I prefer that one.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching. If there's still time, don't forget, Day of Games, November 4th. The tickets are available at lakelandgameclub.com. We hope to see you there.